They say you never really know how crooked things can get until someone tries to redraw the lines under your feet. I mean that literally, because the morning I found a glossy, gold-lettered envelope slapped on my front gate, I figured it was either a mistake or some bored real estate agent fishing for commissions. Turns out it was the opening shot in a war with an HOA that thought it could claim a piece of land I'd carved with my own damn hands. You ever had someone forge a map just to try and steal your road? Yeah. Buckle up. Up on Ridgepoint mornings bite just hard enough to remind you you're alive. There's a peace in that thin air, a kind of quiet ownership that comes from knowing every tree, every switchback, every mile of snowy road you've maintained yourself. No HOA, no neighborly advice, just you, your land, and the sound of your own breath. So when I saddled up my truck with the plow to clear the last crust of snow off my road, a road, by the way, I graded, graveled, and cut by myself, I wasn't expecting drama. I was just doing what I do. But when I pulled back to the gate and saw that envelope shiny as sin and taped right where I'd see it, something in my chest tightened. I thought tourist junk mail. Maybe. But it feels wrong. And yeah, it was wrong because stamped on the front was Mountain Pines HOA, a name that had no business within 3 miles of my property line. I opened it with my gloves still on. Inside there it was snow removal assessment $520 due immediately. And the best part, failure to remit may result in penalties and legal action. I nearly laughed, except the anger rising in me strangled the sound before it came out. Legal action over a road they'd never so much as set a tire on. I looked over my shoulder at the fresh tire tracks, mine thank you very much, snaking up the mountain through the snow I'd just cleared, sun bouncing off the work of my hands. I flipped the letter over hoping for some explanation, but nope. Just a signature Bethany Crowell, HOA president. Script so tight and loopy you'd think it was drawn up for a wedding invitation. There I was standing in the snow, the breath from my mouth fogging up around the corners of a smoldering kind of fury, thinking, what kind of nerve does it take to just declare ownership of somebody's road? Was this a joke? Bureaucracy gone wild? Or just plain greed dressed up as civic duty? I set the notice on my dashboard and just stared at it for a minute. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't a reminder. It was a claim. And let me tell you, when you've paid cash for your land, surveyed it twice, defended it more times than you can count, you know a land grab when you see one. Someone down the ridge thought I'd be easy, thought I'd roll over. Someone had forgotten one simple rule: pressure reveals weakness, and I don't bend easy. So I parked at the cabin, stomped inside, and laid that envelope on the counter like it was a dead snake. All night, one question gnawed at me. Why's an HOA billing a rancher who lives so far outside their boundaries that I don't even get their holiday flyers? Next morning, I didn't even finish my coffee. I just threw the cup in the sink, grabbed that envelope, and hit the road. If Mountain Pines HOA wanted a fight, they had it. Their office was a converted garage at the edge of the subdivision sign, hanging crooked like the universe was trying to warn me off. Bethany Crowell herself answered the door. Platinum hair sweater so neat it could have been vacuum sealed, and a look like she smelled something rotten the moment she saw me. "Can I help you?" she snapped. I held up the envelope. "I'm Jake Carter. This was taped to my gate." She did this half-smile, half-sneer thing. "Yes, snow removal fees. Everyone in the district contributes." "I'm not in your district," I said, slow as I could. "My property's miles outside your boundary." She crossed her arms. "That depends on which boundary you're referring to. Now, I don't know about you, but when someone tries to move the goalposts right in front of you, you either back down or you plant your feet." I pulled out the county parcel map, filed, stamped, and certified. "This boundary," I said, "filed with the county. Your HOA is here and my land is way over here." She barely glanced at it. "That map is outdated." I shrugged. "It's the one your HOA is legally bound to." But she was already rolling her eyes, arms crossed so tight I wondered if she might snap. "You use the same access road everyone else uses. When our plows clear it, you benefit." I stepped closer. "I plow that entire stretch myself. Your plows haven't touched it once." And for a second she faltered. "You plow all the way from the county road and gravel it and salt it." I held her gaze, every foot. Her eyes darted, wheels spinning. People like her don't like facts, they like compliance. Finally she straightened, brushed her sleeves. "We'll be updating the district record soon. Our board has the authority to realign service zones." "You can't redraw county boundaries," I said. She smiled a smile like a steel trap. "Our charter allows adjustments. Everyone contributes." "Except I'm not part of your everyone. You can't just annex land because it's convenient." Her stare sharpened. Consider yourself notified. I kept my voice flat. You set foot on my road without county authorization, you'll be the one dealing with legal issues, not me. She lifted her chin. We'll see about that. Back in my truck, I clenched the wheel. This wasn't about snow. This was about power. People like Bethany get off on authority. As I drove away, I watched her snap a picture of my plates with her phone. Of course she did. Up at the cabin, clouds thickened. Snow started falling again, wind clawing at the pines. I looked at the exact spot Bethany must have stood to tape that letter, imagining her boots crunching where she didn't belong. The ridge felt smaller, like something was moving in besides the weather. That night, a storm rolled in. Whiteout wind howling, windows rattling. Right around 8, I stepped out to fix a tarp and caught movement in the snow. Not a neighbor. Nobody that unprepared for mountain weather was from around here. Under the porch light, Bethany, hairpinned clipboard in hand, jacket more for show than for warmth. You can't record people without consent, she barked, glaring at the porch camera. I blocked her. You're on private land. I'm here for an inspection. Policy requires it. Not on my property. You have no authority. She scowled. The entire ridge benefits from our snow removal. No, I said. I filed a notice with the sheriff about overreach. This is trespass. For a second, she hesitated, snow-caking her boots. You're being uncooperative. We have procedures. You have your subdivision, I said, and I have my land. Lightning flickered. She glanced at the camera again, then spun around and stomped off, boots sinking deep in the unplowed snow she claimed her HOA had cleared. I watched until she disappeared. Then I locked the door, not out of fear, but because that visit wasn't an accident. It was a message. I logged every detail, downloaded the footage. That storm pounded the cabin all night. I lay awake thinking, was she just gathering evidence or laying groundwork to justify whatever boundary change she had in mind? 2 days later, the snow cleared, and so did any hope this would blow over. Another envelope read, stamped this time, delinquent $520 fee, $50 late penalty, threat of legal action. They weren't confused. They wanted a fight. I started keeping a snow removal log, dates, footage every plow session. I wasn't building a wall, I was building a case. 5 days later, a new player showed up. A man in a slate gray coat, legal documents under his arm, smooth voice, practiced smile. Mr. Carter, you've received revised district documents. Please review and respond within 10 business days. Inside a letter demanding $890 and a boundary map, my road shaded pink, labeled Provisional Inclusion Zone. A forgery. This isn't recognized, I said. It will be, he replied. The HOA has submitted a petition to annex undeveloped ridges. Intended by who? The board. If you refuse to comply, we will pursue civil action. Then you'll lose. That night I drove to the county clerk. Darla Pierce, 30 years on that job and allergic to nonsense. She checked the records. No such proposal filed. This, she said, holding up the fake map, is garbage. She flagged it as possible fraud, stamped it, and handed me a certified copy of my boundary map. Bring anything else here, she said. Back at the cabin, I spread out everything. Real maps, fake maps, deed photos. Each piece like a structural report from my engineering days. Pressure here, cracks there. Eventually the whole thing collapses under its own weight. And someone was about to learn what happens when you try to rewrite a mountain. 5 days later, another heavy car on the gravel. Sheriff Morales. Calm, steady. He took his coffee black and watched my porch camera footage in silence. She trespassed during a snowstorm. I nodded. You want to press charges? Not yet, but I want it documented. Done. And keep your cameras running. People like her get dangerous when they're cornered. That night I got a call from Sarah Whitfield, old land rights attorney, tough as the ridge itself. Jake, that lawyer they sent you, not licensed here, disbarred in Nevada for misrepresentation. The letter format's fake, the map's not from any county system. HOA hired a fake lawyer, or someone pretending to be one. Jake, their manufacturing authority. Odds are you're not the only target. We filed a complaint with the state bar and the county prosecutor got a copy of the forged map. That wasn't just an HOA dispute anymore, it was criminal. Then things escalated. 2 figures caught on my trail, cam bolt cutters, hoodies, cutting at my gate. My trip alarm went off, siren blaring. They panicked, dropped an HOA keycard and ran. Sheriff Morales processed it, limited circulation. Only a handful of people have these. And one of them tried to break your gate. Sarah ran another background check. The fake lawyer. Not just unlicensed, barred for fraud, tied to a developer accused of water rights theft, and now working for Bethany. County investigators started interviewing board members. One flipped Tyler Manning, the treasurer. Turned over emails, secret ledgers, records of forged maps, and payments to contractors, including the fake lawyer. All documented. The night before the subpoenas hit, my power line was cut clean. No animal marks, just bolt cutters. Another HOA keycard left behind. Morales' team traced the bolt cutters to Bethany's nephew. Evidence piled up fast as the snow drifts. Finally, grand jury time. Bethany arraigned fraud, falsified documents, criminal sabotage, attempted annexation. In court, Tyler Manning submitted the strategic ledger, her own notes, forged maps, payments. A neighbor stood up, held his notarized survey, and said, "This is my signature. The one on the forged map isn't. My wife died that year. I couldn't hold a pen. You could hear jaws drop." The jury didn't take long, guilty on every count. The judge didn't take long either. Immediate dissolution of the Mountain Pines HOA. Applause thundered. Relief you could feel in your bones. But real justice, well, it doesn't always come with fanfare. A few days later, the county board accepted the petition for full dissolution. People brought pies and folding chairs, signed their names, and stood up to be counted. Dana the hiker thanked me for standing my ground. "You didn't just protect your ridge," she said. "You protected all of us." Life settled back. Warning signs came down. Cameras stayed up because you learn from experience. I picked up my new certified map from the clerk, my land bold and independent. Stopped by the old HOA clubhouse, shuttered locks, changed the power of a bully gone limp and empty. Later, at a bonfire on my land, neighbors toasted to new peace. "You fought harder than you had to," Glenn Ford said. "Yeah, because they counted on nobody fighting at all." The next morning, I cleared an old trail to a lookout. The valley was endless, clean, untouched. No trespassers, no forged lines, just the truth written right into the land. If you've ever stood your ground against someone who tried to push you out, drop a simple justice in the comments. Let me know I'm not the only one out here who still believes in doing what's right, even if it takes a fight. And hey, if stories like this remind you what real ownership and dignity look like, stick around. There's plenty more truth to come from the back roads.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.